Hello, welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 324. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Today we got Tim Spence here. Hello.
Where? Huh?
You.
Oh, hi.
Matt Lawrence.
What's up?
He's our stock expert. He will be informing us on the GameStop, and he will be making recommendations on what you should do with your money. So
absolutely not.
Keep an ear out for that.
Absolutely not. Nothing I say is investing advice. I am barely an investor. Do not listen to me.
And we got Adrian Petty.
Hi.
So yeah, obviously one of the biggest stories happening right now is the GameStop. I always want to say GameSpot, and I know some people have made that mistake, but it is GameStop, the video game store.
Damn it! It's like all the people
games.
following. It's like people following the wrong Robinhood accounts on Twitter because of this.
I saw you like a Robinhood account, Tim, and I was like, why are you? Why are you liking like this random tweet from a brokerage? And I was like, oh, wait a second, never mind.
No, it's not the brokerage.
God
it's
damn it!
One that's like about Sherwood Forest.
Oh my
it's like
God,
an actual archery company.
People
like
send
that,
like a bunch of tweets
likes.
and stuff.
Yeah, people are like tweeting at them, and they're like, "Thanks for all the follows, but like, we're not the trading app. We're an archery company." It's had like 500,000 likes on that tweet.
It's like Rudy Giuliani in the Four Seasons.
Yes, yes, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
So apart from that, we got other stories here. Like Cyberpunk received a update, and it also introduced a new game-breaking bug, which has then been patched. Tesla's new car, their new Model S and X, will be able to run The Witcher 3 and have 10 teraflops of gaming power.
Wait, isn't that game made by CD Projekt Red? Isn't that game like a buggy mess?
The Witcher?
The Witcher is not, really.
Yeah, Witcher is a very polished game.
No, it's impossible. If a company's made a buggy game, that means they're trash.
My God.
Kevin Hart officially joins Borderlands.
He's playing Claptrap, right? He's the same height.
Oh,
damn! God damn!
Wow!
How long were you sitting on that one?
I think I saw somebody tweet. I think it was Borderlands account tweeted that he was joining, and I was like, this is the low hanging fruit, right? Like everybody's gonna make this joke, and no one had made it yet. So I was like, all right, I'll make that joke. I don't fucking care.
Warner Bros. Is apparently hinting at upcoming games that will have a focus on live services. And that's all I got. Some housekeeping, though. Matt did correct us. So right after we recorded last week's episode about the Xbox Live Gold price increase, they had like messaged out that they were reversing course and not going to raise the price. It might have happened while we were recording the podcast itself.
It was within minutes anyway. Like it wasn't even an hour.
So that's been corrected. And then also just. We had a Query Corner question last week about the success of PlayStation over Xbox, or what drives people to different consoles. We just have like a small update here that the Xbox Series X and S has record-setting launch, and their subscription services now have 18 million subscribers, which is up from 15 million for Game Pass, not Live Gold, but Game Pass. So it does sound like they're doing well. I think we mentioned that we didn't have numbers last week, right? And so I just kind of wanted to add this in, just saying that like Xbox is having some good performance. So
no, yeah, it's a good thing to mention. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Overall gaming hardware revenue jumped by 86% as well. All right. So we're gonna start off with what's new. Anyone want to start first?
I was going to ask what that gaming hardware revenue was specifically, but I guess we don't have that detail there in our notes anyway.
No, I think they're just like general. I mean, you want to go first, Matt?
Me?
I'll go last.
What's going on here?
I'll go. I like
what
to go
is
last.
new, Matt?
What is new with me? I have been playing Watch Dogs. Okay, no, I've been playing Watch Dogs Legion. And I'm really enjoying it now. I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago now on the show that I'd started it, but like I just wasn't like I liked it and it was good. Like I didn't have any complaints like, oh, this game is glitchy or bad or whatever, necessarily. Although there are like sort of the traditional sort of open world bugs, but they're not like game breaking or anything that I've seen so far. And I just wasn't having like a super good time with it. I am now having a super good time with it. So one kind of word of the wise with this is that NPC system, I know they have a marketing term for it that I cannot remember, but it's basically you can recruit any NPC. That is not a gimmick, actually. Now, I'm sure there'll be repetition at some point, but me having played the game for a fairly long time, not a ridiculous amount of time, I'm still going through the story. But, over 10 hours at this point, as far as I can recall, I am really enjoying it so far. Each individual NPC is actually, at least on the surface, really actually individual. I call on certain people for certain things. I spend hours specifically recruiting certain people. There's crazy relationships that I never knew about. So, for example, I was running away from the police, or I think it's Albion or whatever they're called in the game. I was running away from the police in a car, and I accidentally bumped into somebody, but it wasn't fatal. And I scanned them with my phone because the person that was beside them trying to help them, because they were on the ground, had this weird icon on them that I hadn't seen before. And it said the wife of Derek something. And I was like, who the hell's Derek? I don't. And then I remembered, I was like, wait a sec, I'm going to check my team, because you can keep tabs on people. If you find them in the world, you can keep a tab on them and then decide whether to recruit them later. And she was the wife of Derek whatever, and he was a potential recruit, and that can actually, as far as I can tell, affect the relationship with him. So obviously the guy that I hit, he's not happy with me. He'll have a downward thumb, no, I dislike DedSec because he hurt me type of thing. But I think that she potentially could affect Derek as well. There's different ways that these relationships, because clearly they're labeled for a reason, can kind of come out, which is crazy. I really, really like that. I also really so for example, a lot of the places are uniform access only, and so it'll be you have to be have to have a police uniform, you have to have an Albion uniform, a medic's uniform for hospital, whatever it is. And I was like, okay, I'm going to equip my team with a few of the most sort of quote unquote sought after type of things. And I chose a police officer, construction worker, which I think was part of the tutorial, the construction worker, and a medic and something else. So I went after the police officer first because he had quite a bit of access. And fascinatingly enough, so I chose the police officer, and he didn't like me. So you have to do this thing called a deep profile. So you go into supposed to be you're hacking their life, and you find out what they're after. So he's a cop, so maybe he's trying to do detective work on somebody and you can help him with that. Maybe he's trying to hack into something and you can help him with that, whatever it is. And so I did this thing for him, and I found out that he was an underground fighter, and he had pissed off a gang, and the gang was going to come after him. So I get to him in time and save him, and he was in his common clothes. And so I was like, holy shit, this game's Oblivion in a way where people actually have schedules. I was expecting this to be select a police officer, and then he's just a police officer forever in the game and never actually change or do anything. But I walked around the streets at night after that scanning people, and I was finding paramedics, whatever, various designer professionals, whatever, all in their common clothes. And I was like, holy fuck, this is really, really cool. And I'm hardly doing the story. I think I've done 3 story missions or something like that to the free roam, and I've just been building my team. They've actually put a ridiculous amount of work into it, and it's really fun to find new people and stuff like that. One complaint so far is a lot of it so far, and again, I'm not doing the main story, so this might change, but a lot of the locations are sort of samey. It's just sort of you roll up and it's okay, you have to hack this guy or steal this thing or break into this door, and then you just have to have the same 4 or 5 ways to hack. But I am doing a fair bit of the free roam stuff, so maybe that's why, and maybe the story would be way different, because I know that the intro was way different than the missions I've done so far, so maybe that's the case. But really good job. If you're playing Watch Dogs Legion and thinking of quitting and you're not quite at the point where you're starting to team build yourself without the game telling you, I really recommend you stick it out until the team building, because it's really fun.
Yeah, I did play it for a bit, but I just couldn't get into it. I'm hoping to go back to it.
How far did you get?
I think my first couple main missions.
Because and I'm not going to say story spoilers, but it's from my experience, the game kind of guides you through. It gives you like an original person that you choose, and he in my game, and I assume in general, is low skill because he's your first recruit, and you play as that person. Whether you pick whoever you pick. So I chose like this magician guy. I chose him, and then I played as him for a bit, and then it gave me like a brawler, like someone good at fighting. And then it gave me someone that had like a skill. So in this case, a construction worker, because a construction worker can call in the big like cargo drones. So it's trying to teach me like, here's how to fight. Like here's how to fight with no skills. Here's how to fight with skills. So this person has like, force behind them. And then here's how to like sort of sneak in and use the hacks. And then after that, like I've unlocked like spies, like MI6 level spies with like special spy cars and crap. And I've unlocked drone specialists, and and that's all unscripted. Like for the most part, at least as far as I know, maybe the drone specialist it kind of pushed me toward her, but the police, all the other people, like all that was just stuff that I was like walking around and was like, you know what? I kind of want access here. I kind of want to like hire this person. So.
Tim, what's new with you?
I finally, after I don't even know how many weeks, finally finished Yakuza 7 on stream. Man. Took a while, but we got there in the end. And it was really good. I definitely really recommend it, even as like a starting point for people who may, not know much about the Yakuza series, but they want to get into it. It's a good starting point. And I started up playing Mario Galaxy for the first time. So I played that yesterday and today.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I'm a big fan of the 3D Marios. I really like them a lot. I don't know why I took so long to get around to it. It's a really fun game.
I had a smile on my face the entire time playing that game.
That was me with Odyssey, honestly. Like I kind of wouldn't. I don't know why. I guess maybe just because it had been a long time since I played a 3D Mario before I played Odyssey. But just the whole time I was playing Odyssey was just so enjoyable, like the whole time.
I'm assuming you're playing it on the Switch.
Yeah.
How do they handle how are you navigating Mario across his little floating planets?
You mean like how do I find the controls?
No, like is it okay, so on the Wii it was a thumb. You used your left thumb on the joystick to move Mario, and you use the remote on the right hand to collect the little star bits in the sky.
Oh yeah.
So how are they doing that with that?
You move the whole controller. I'm not using Joy-Cons. I'm assuming for the Joy-Cons it would be very similar, but I use a Pro controller. So you have to move just the whole thing to control your cursor, which is really quite annoying because the way I have it set up is it's not my Switch is like it's not a forward direction from where I'm sitting. It's off to the side. So my cursor keeps like getting lost off the side of the screen. I have to keep hitting R to reset it to the center. But like overall, it's largely what you'd think, left on the control stick to move Mario around, and then right stick like barely controls the camera, which is god awful. The camera's really bad in that. But otherwise it's like mostly fairly good. It's kind of one of those games where it kind of like tries to tell you what is the best way for the camera to be going. It like automatically controls it. So if you try to do anything to it,
how do you find platforming? Oh, Jesus Christ.
I went into the game knowing that the gravity was like a major component of it, running around the planets and stuff like that. But it's not terrible. I quite like it. It's really cool to see it like working in action.
Yeah.
But
for me, I found a hard time like jumping from
planet to planet.
From sphere to sphere.
Yeah.
Until somebody told me a trick which helped me. He said, "Don't look at Mario when you jump. When you want to navigate Mario, look at his shadow on the ground and always jump by his shadow."
Yeah, I mean that's just a tip for most platformers, right?
Yeah, well, ones that utilize that, like a 3D one. But when I got that's when the game really kind of
clicked.
Off.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, it's just, I mean, Nintendo's really good, and I've said this while I was streaming as well. Like, Nintendo's really good about taking a concept and just really mixing it up and just continuing to try to explore it and see like what makes it fun. Like what is the application to make it fun? So, it's cool to see them introduce concepts and then try those concepts out in a different way, and then a different way, and then a different way. And then that's like the level or whatever. So they introduce like the spring upgrade, and then you get to try the spring upgrade in a bunch of different scenarios. And then you get the Boo Mario upgrade, and you try the Boo Mario in a bunch of different situations. Then you get Ice Mario, where you can like skate on the water and stuff. And that's really fun. So it's, getting to try all that different stuff is always something that I've really liked about Mario games. But it's just another classic 3D platforming Mario game. That's just a fun time. It's really good. It's honestly making me want to play Odyssey, because Odyssey was just so much fun to play through the first time too.
I don't have a Switch, but one day hopefully I'll get around to playing Odyssey.
I think I've noticed a couple of bugs, not bugs, maybe minor glitches with this game on the Switch, just because it's the emulator port. It's not even like properly ported. They just installed emulator files onto the cartridge, and then you play that on your Switch. It's particularly bad with Mario Sunshine. There's like known glitches in the Dolphin emulator version that you can replicate in the Switch version. So that's just laziness, which is something I wouldn't have expected from an official Nintendo product, especially something that's Mario of all things.
Yeah, and that's standard price for a game. I think is like the traditional $80 or what it is in Canada.
Sure is.
Yeah.
So that's disappointing for sure. But I'm part of the problem by supporting it, right? So.
Anything else before I rhyme off what I played?
That's pretty much it. That's a big one for me.
For me, I was on the last episode, so I have a couple of things here. I finished off Diablo.
I knew it. I need to have fucking points, because like we were saying the last time you were on, when you were like saying things about what we thought how you would do something or handle something, and I was like, I'll bet you next week, or like in the group chat we're gonna get a message from Adriano saying, here's all my arguments and here's why you're all wrong, and blah blah blah.
Oh, but I listened to the episode, but I didn't do that. I didn't pump anything in the chat for this week.
Oh, I thought you saved it for just now. I thought you had a list.
No.
Start running stuff off.
No,
okay,
I heard Matt's rant about Heroes of the Storm, and I'm just gonna say Fallout's gonna end before Heroes of the Storm. I'm calling it now. I finished off Diablo 2 with you guys. Then we started Diablo 3. I played some Civ 6 with Ryan and Aaron. Hearthstone.
We finished that game.
Yeah, we actually finished it.
How does 6 compare to 5?
It was jarring at first to adjust to, but now I can't imagine going back to 5.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like that's kind of how I feel after playing Yakuza 7 so much. It's like it going to a turn-based party like RPG combat system. I was like, oh, why would they do this to the already perfect formula? And then I tried to go back and play 0 again, and I was like, oh, I kind of don't really like this now.
Yeah, like I have a friend of mine who only sticks to Civ 3 and 4. Like he hasn't even jumped up to 5. But you guys think that I play a lot of old games? My friend exclusively plays old games. Like he doesn't touch anything new. Like if it wasn't made before like 2010, like he's not gonna touch it.
I was gonna say, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, there's a period of time where I was the same way. Like I wasn't playing anything modern. Like the most recent thing I was playing at the time was maybe like Far Cry 3. But I was going through a huge like retro game period of my life where I was like only playing SNES and N64 and GameCube and original Xbox and stuff like that.
I was going to question how someone could be like that, but then I remember I only listened to 60s and 70s music.
There you go. We all have it.
So
It's got
makes sense.
Hearthstone as usual. Overwatch, some Syndicate. I have not actually gone back to God of War yet on the original PlayStation 2, but I do intend on going back. I promise. We got our asses handed to us in Warhammer once, but then we went back and we proved it wrong. Minecraft Dungeons, I might actually need Matt or Ryan to come in and help me with the level because I can't get past this one boss.
Is it in the castle?
I think it's the final boss. Like I have a feeling it's the final one.
Because the last one, and if memory serves, the second last one, which may actually be in the same level, are difficult. I know Ryan and I actually like probably had 2 full streams of that or something like that.
Yeah,
I remember those.
I may force you guys to dust that off and jump in quickly.
That's the boss where they have like the purple laser beams that rotate, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one I'm on. And then I am playing a unholy amount of Dead Cells.
I can hear the papers again.
I could it is a very unhealthy amount of Dead Cells. And here's the thing. This is how I'm going to explain my relationship with this game. I'm going to use the word relationship because I wake up in the morning, it is the first thing that I think about. I go to before I go to bed, it is the last thing I think. It is a soundtrack is on all day at work. Like I work to it. I think I'm thinking about this game while I'm talking about other games. It's such an elaborate little map and I purposely avoid everything that I can about this game because I want to discover it on my own. Like if it wasn't a game, it's almost like I'd be talking about like a relationship. Like I would be in love with something. But this is the level to which is kind of like impeded my life. And
impeded your life, pulls out the paperwork to prove it.
And here's my argument why.
And it's just, and I'm trying to like figure out why I love this game so much because it not only like it feels good to play, but there is a story to it, but it is so just trickled in. Like they just give you snippets of lines, and like you can just do run after run after run and just not discover anything about it. And there is like I do know past what is considered to be the final stage, there are 2 extra stages, but it is so far down, and to get to that point, it is quite the grind, and I don't know that I'll ever get there. But there is this like the subtext of the premise of the story is like you're this immortal seed that keeps on doing these runs on this island, and you keep on dying and you keep on respawning. And it's procedurally generated, so the island changes on you every time, and you're acknowledging it. You know that something's not right, and there's certain characters in the game, like the clock, like the timekeeper, and the Hand of the King, that they know that everything's on repeat, and you know that everything's on repeat, but you're just kind of going through these motions, and I don't know. I guess the subtext of the game is like there's some sort of existential crisis, and maybe like a need for self-identity and like purpose in the universe, because there is a cosmic kind of overtone and like a allure to it all. And like I don't know if it just relates back to maybe me being a millennial and like existential purpose kind of syncing up with that, because like a lot of millennials identify with that. But it's a game that just kind of seems to have consumed my life.
Have you ever played Dark Souls 1?
I started it a long time ago.
Because honestly, a lot of the storytelling and like the way that, you learn about the world and, kind of your place in it and stuff like that, I feel the things that you enjoy about Dead Cells, you would like in Dark Souls as well.
Yeah, and would you say the same thing about Bloodborne? I
have never played Bloodborne, so I don't know.
Because I was going to say, if you're saying the same thing about Bloodborne, is I have played through that game with Ryan and Aaron. Mm-hmm. And I think, while I agree with that statement, I think what the defining difference is the fact that it is a retro style 2D platformer. Mm-hmm. And like that is the thing that got me into it, but it's everything else around it that kind of just keeps me there.
It just gives that extra little bit of chef's kiss on top.
Yeah, and it's something that I like. I said this before. It is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. Mm-hmm. And like they just released a new pack, which is going to expand the island again. And like now I get to just discover all that.
Yeah, again, yep.
I get to update my little map here.
Like if there's one thing that I wish I could have for any game, it would be that they like kept updating Dark Souls. Like that would be insane. That would be so cool. And not like updating the series and adding entries, like updating the first one and just adding more content to it. Like that would be insane. Yeah. But it's probably a good thing that it didn't go that way, because it probably would have gotten a bit outplayed.
I have to like kind of consider myself fortunate that I have like discovered this game, and this is one of the few games that I actually went and bought. Like I remember somebody talking about it on another podcast, and I went and bought it in beta. I had kind of seen the early stages of this game, and I played through it, and then I remember the earlier enemies that had changed, and then I put it down, I came back to it, and then I put it down after I kind of explored all of it, and it's not until I heard that there was a new pack coming out which I gone back to it. But I guess like I'm grateful that there's a game that I just kind of get, like, I just love so much that I want to discover on my own. And I told myself, and I do this with a lot of games, but this particularly is, if I never discover the secrets of this game, I never want to know the secrets of this game. Like I would rather die not knowing what this game is in the end than me having been told by someone else.
Sure, yeah. That's the one thing I do regret, I think, the most about the first time I played through Dark Souls, is that I had watched somebody play through it before I did.
Yeah.
And I spoiled like a lot of the game for myself. But that being said, I still really, really loved it.
Oh yeah, for me in a general rule with gaming, it's just I don't want to look up anything. I would rather not have a piece of information and make the absence of information a part of my story, as opposed to me just looking it up for the hell of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But that's me and Dead Cells.
Tim, are you planning on playing Bloodborne at all?
I am, actually. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I've just like never decided to get around to it, even though I know I would love it and everyone tells me I would love it. But I just watched a bunch of Bloodborne content recently on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, okay, I really gotta get around to playing this game. So sometime soon, probably, yeah.
It's almost what's weird about it is it was a big hit, but it also still kind of feels like a cult hit in some weird way. And maybe that's just because it's not getting a lot of support. Like there wasn't even a PS4 Pro update. There hasn't been a PS5 update. There hasn't been talk of a sequel.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I know who's played it wants a sequel or some sort of update.
For sure. I see a lot of people talk about it. Like, I mean, I'm obviously part of like the Dark Souls subreddit, and that sort of takes on a whole bunch of like Soulsian conversation. So like the whole like Soulsborne Sekiro style fans. And I would say by and large, among all of the Dark Souls games plus Sekiro plus Bloodborne, I think Bloodborne is a lot of people's favorite. So it definitely has that love. It just doesn't have as many titles for people to fawn over, I think, and to discuss.
Yeah. All right. As for me, I am pretty close to finishing Immortals: Phoenix Rising. We'll probably be done that by next week. And I played the Medium, which is the new Xbox exclusive.
Oh yeah.
How's that running on your PC, Ryan?
Here's the thing. Since it's on Game Pass, I downloaded it both on my Xbox Series X and my PC. I played it first on my Xbox Series X. It ran okay. It was fine. And me and Adriana were worried because the recommended specs for it, like Adriana was just squeaking in.
Yeah. Right.
And even my rig was like kind of like on the border. Like I don't think my processor is technically supported. And so it's been running a little chunky for me. And even like if I try to run at my native resolution of 1440 with like medium settings at 60 frames per second, it struggles to get to 60 frames per second. Which is unusual for any kind of AAA game that I've played on my PC.
Yeah, but you're also 2 years back now?
But my processor is 2 gens back.
Yeah, but 2 years shouldn't, like, Ryan should be able to put that on somewhere around the middle, and it should be able to run flawlessly.
Mm-hmm. When did this game come out?
Like a week ago.
Thursday.
So like with stuff like that, there's sometimes there's a maturity time where the drivers need to mature. Like fixes and problems and stuff like that will go into drivers, and then that will drastically improve performance depending on how critical those fixes are.
I believe there was a driver released the day before for it.
Yeah, there's usually like a day one driver for big games, but like there'll always be stuff that they find.
Oh yeah,
later
I
on.
totally agree. Because I think it's a smaller developer too. They're the guys who did the Layers of Fear and Blair Witch game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're like a massive developer. They're based out of Poland. In terms of the aesthetic of the game and just the whole vibe it gives off, I'm kind of enjoying it.
How would you compare it to another series? Because I think I heard somebody say something about like fans of Silent Hill.
Well, I've never played Silent Hill. I can only imagine.
That is an accurate statement, because when I remember I was chatting with these two while this was being announced on, I think it was the Game Awards. I think is when we first saw it, and the first thing I said to one of these two was, well, before they revealed the name, I'm like, I think this might be a new Silent Hill, because it had that feel, and it turns out it is. At the very least, they have the composer from Silent Hill 2 doing the music. Go. That's the connection.
Yeah, the music has been really nice and creepy, and I kind of got Resident Evil vibes from it, just from the way there's like little puzzles and
I was gonna say that
the item discovery and stuff like that all feels very Resident Evil to me.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that as the alternative was not if not Silent Hill, then maybe. Definitely Resident Evil.
Yeah. Like, now I don't like scary games, and so I am tentatively making my way through this game.
I fucking love scary games.
I already had the poop scared out of me, and I had my headphones on too, which always makes it worse. It recommends wearing headphones.
I typically don't like horror games because I find they're really not done well. Like they're just not fun. It feels like a lot of the like air quotes like scares are quite cheap. But I definitely I tried PT at a friend's place.
Oh god, yeah.
And that was actually dope. Like it's a shame that game got canceled because
speaking of Silent Hills.
Yeah, because that would have been great, right? It was actually awesome. I really enjoyed it.
You see, it was a jump scare that got me in this game, which I don't like jump scares. I am perfectly fine with like a
jump scares
scary
are cheap, right?
feeling as you're watching a movie or a game, but I don't like jump scares at all.
No, they're cheap.
You can't handle them.
Every movie or game they get one. You're allotted one. Just like the PG swear word, everyone gets one fuck and you can still keep the PG.
Everyone gets one jump, everyone gets one fuck. That's how it works.
Ryan, what's your card in your PC?
2080.
RTX 2080. Okay, so what was your preset? Or what did you have it set to?
When I booted up the game, it was set to 1440 medium. It might have been 60. I didn't go into any of the advanced
medium
stuff.
60. What does that mean?
60
like medium graphics, 60 FPS.
Oh, like you're capping it at 60?
It has like those are pretty much the basic settings it has before going into advanced. It has screen resolution, ray tracing, quality, and then frames per second.
Because the closest one to what you just outlined is on the high recommendation. Because there's medium recommended, high, ultra, then RT minimum, RT recommended, and RT high.
Yeah.
But you had, because like the RT recommended for what you're describing is a 30. Oh no, 2080. No, you're right. Okay, so that's where you line it. Yeah, so you should be in the RT recommended and it should be able to run fine.
I'm wondering if my processor's holding me back because I don't think mine's 2700.
Oh,
what do they recommend for processor?
3700.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that might be it.
Your processor's not even on here.
Yeah.
I have an i7, and here's the thing though. So when you go down to the lowest settings, I should be able to run this. It doesn't say I can't. Like the only thing that would hold me back is the SSD at the bottom. I have a hybrid drive instead, but I can't imagine.
That typically helps with load times and texture.
But then for the memory recommendation, they're showing an 8 gig, and then everything else is a 16.
Yeah.
And it kills me because like remember when Fallen Order came out and like it's like, oh, you need recommended is like 32 gigs of RAM, and everyone's like huffing and puffing over that, and they had to like go back and adjust like their official things. I'll have to give this a go, but that's very concerning that your computer is giving you problems.
Well, here's the thing. So when I bought my 2700, the processor, Ryzen 7 2700, AMD was still not as positioned as it is today as being a gaming processor. The next gen version that came out right after that was like on par with the Intel offerings, right? And that's the one they recommend. And so I'm wondering if my processor is just one step behind what's needed to kind of push this game at what I would want as the quality.
If I can make a recommendation as well, I would check. Do you have VSync on?
I think I did leave that on actually. Yeah.
Turn that off, and then turn off the frame cap and see how it runs. In my experience, VSync and frame caps should really be used only when they need to be used. The thing with VSync, at least as far as I remember it from back in my college days, what it basically would do is, let's just say your card can run something at 60 FPS normally, but every now and then, for whatever reason, it'll dip to like 48, but it'll come right back up to 60 or around there. If you do VSync, it'll do 60 only if it can maintain 60. And if it can't maintain 60, it'll kick you back down to 30.
Right.
And if it can't maintain that, I believe it goes down to 15 and so on. Now, I'm not an expert on this, and it's been years since I've really messed around with VSync. Since like FreeSync and other stuff, I just use those now. But especially with the frame caps, like I wouldn't do a frame, like we did a frame cap to fix the stream, but that was to fix the stream. I wouldn't put on a frame cap unless there's a problem.
Yeah, and I was just kind of messing around with like their basic settings. I didn't go into advanced at all. And unfortunately, there wasn't even like the GeForce Experience didn't have like recommended settings. It's not. It doesn't
it's
show
not
up
mature.
in
I don't think enough. Like I would honestly say that like, Adriano, if you want to play it, I would say maybe look out for performance improvements in patches to the game itself or patches to the drivers that you'd be using. And then I would also say, even take a look. Like I don't know what the modding community would be like, but there might be optimizations because if these are a smaller, if these are a smaller developer, I will find that some indie games I play on Steam will just like kill my laptop and it can't do it. But then I can go out and I can play like the latest AAA game at like a fairly good FPS, and it's just because in those cases it's an early access game, so it's still coming up. But it just goes to show you what the optimizations and efficiencies can do to help performance overall.
Yeah, and maybe like the one up on this one is like the Intel chips they're asking for are i5s, and I have an i7. So,
but what generation though?
Yeah, you need to know the generation. Like i5, i7. Those are great, but like you need to know what gen of i7 because i7 and i5 has been around for years.
Well, they have an i9 now, but I don't think anybody really uses those. They have i5 60. They're saying Intel Core i5 6600 for the low setting.
I'm willing to guess that's not what you have.
I have a i7 4790.
2 gens back.
That's pretty old, Adriano.
Yeah, 2 gens back. It sounds like. I don't follow Intel too closely, but I would like for stuff like that. I would test benchmarks. Like I would look at benchmarks and see if anyone's done it.
Well, yeah. Worst case, I'll just run it, and then it's just an install. It's not a purchase, and then I'll see what the GeForce Experience app is saying. What it's, but then again, it
doesn't show up.
It doesn't show up. Oh, fantastic!
No.
Oh, that's
there's other options for you. Like I mean, sometimes this hurts performance, but sometimes this helps. Like you could do your aspect ratio at a lower resolution. You could do, instead of 1080p, you could do 720. Sometimes that hurts, sometimes it helps, and like that might help in this case, and it might help by a fair bit.
Thing. Like normally, if you turn the game down to low, it doesn't look horrible, right? Like obviously not ideal, but it doesn't look horrible. When you turn this game down to low, it looked pretty bad. I'm not something completely different happens with it.
But you also had mentioned to me today that there are on Game Pass reviews are.
I saw like 3 people say they were having trouble. One guy had a 3080 and he was having trouble.
Really? Oh no, God, that's so concerning.
Those are the things though. Those are the things that are like I wouldn't worry about it. If people with 3080s having trouble, wait for the drivers, wait for the patches, and then play it. That's what I would say.
Well, here's the thing though. If these people are having trouble with the 3070s, 3080s, I'm assuming just me turning off ray tracing off the bat will hopefully
you need. I don't know if your card can even do.
Your card doesn't even have ray tracing.
It can't. Yeah, so I'm assuming that the game is just automatically going to turn it off, and that alone is going to help it.
Yeah, mine was off by default.
Like I'll fucking go down to 720 if I have to. I just don't want to have to buy an Xbox to play this game.
Cap it at 30. Like for your case,
I probably will.
If you're really trying to get something to run, that's where you start doing those tweaks, and like capping it to 30 will basically it's like that thing where you cap your Netflix. Like some people have trouble with their Netflix periodically, or at least a couple of years ago. I don't know if it really happens anymore, because it would continually try to go up. It'd go from like whatever, the 720p, let's say, to the 1080, and their internet connection could support 1080, but like anytime anyone else did anything, 1080 was out of the question. So then their Netflix would start screwing up, and the other person's whatever they were doing is screwing up. So like you kind of have to cap it, and like the same type of thing with FPS is there might be enough GPU there to do 60 FPS sometimes, but like maybe 30 is the sweet spot. So kill VSync, try just 30 cap. If it works, then there you go.
Because with this game is like, you're jumping between like two worlds, Ryan? Like you're jumping from the real world to the netherworld?
Yeah, because you're literally like a medium, right? So you can commune with the other side, and part of the game, you literally play in split screen, where one half is in like the other side and one half is in our world.
Maybe that's why this is having such a problem, because it's literally rendering two environments simultaneously. Yeah, like it can't, because like in Silent Hill, when they tossed it between one and the other, you went through a loading screen and it was always the same map, but they just retextured everything.
SSD too. I bet you the SSD plays a huge part in those two worlds.
Yeah, and now, but if they're literally rendering two things at the same time, that probably explains why this can't be a thing.
Yeah, one guy here on the review on Game Pass, he says that he's running it on RTX 2070 Super. He gets a pretty solid 60 FPS, but it drops to 28 to 40 when like the two world split happens.
Oh, that's bad. What was that game where the two guys are busting out of jail and it's like the same game creators as brothers?
Yeah.
What's that game?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But it's like split screen, but it's like
A Way Out?
A Way Out.
Oh, that's
the
it,
one. Yeah. How did that game run so well on hard drives if it's
I don't think that had as much graphical intensity. It was pretty kind of like just blocky shapes and stuff.
And it was always rendering probably the same environment from.
I'm pretty sure there were parts where it was two separate environments in that game. I never
got
played it,
far enough away from the other person. Yeah, I think it's split screen.
At split screen too, you could probably kill it and go down to like 720 for each frame. 720-ish or whatever, right?
Because a co-op couch games on like 360 were a thing with Gears. Mm-hmm. I played a bunch of games with my brother side by side, and they were always rendering fine. So I have to imagine there are tricks to doing it. As soon as you said like rendered like the two worlds are simultaneous, it's like, oh, that's probably what it is.
One thing I really like about this game is you're exploring like this old mid-century Polish, Eastern European hotel. And I just love the aesthetic of that kind of time and area of the world.
Old European stuff?
Yeah. So I love that. It's pretty cool.
You should play the old Silent Hill games, man.
Are they in a mid-century hotel?
No, but if you seem to like the media. Well,
I just said I liked.
there is a one part of there is a Silent Hill game that does take place in a hotel. Like you do explore like a hotel on the lake, and it's very secluded and remote.
And the movie filmed in Brantford.
Yep, with Sean Bean,
the scariest place in Canada.
For whatever reason, we'll leave that up to you to decide.
All right, let's hop into the stories. This is the crazy one, the big GameStop story that's become pretty massive news. The White House is keeping an eye on it. It's like it's getting out of hand. Like, this is crazy. I'm gonna do my best to kind of give a rundown of what's going on. Now, I don't know completely. I may get things wrong. I'm not part of the Reddit group. I'm not reading all the threads and stuff.
Please, if you're interested, look into it yourself and form your own opinions, because there's a lot of convoluted shit going on.
And nothing we say in this podcast is investing advice.
All of it is actually.
No, none of the stuff we say in this podcast is investing advice. Zero, none of it.
I know literally nothing about it, so please give me the Cole's Notes version.
Okay, and Adriano and Matt, you might want to help me on a few things here. So here's basically how I understand it, is that GameStop is a company that is underperforming financially, and so their stock obviously would be going down. Now, a bunch of these multi-billion-dollar hedge fund companies are doing what's called short selling the stock, which is basically where you bet on the company failing. And you make money by doing that. You borrow shares, you sell them at a at a certain price, and you hope the stock goes down. So when you rebuy them back to return them to the lender, you can make some profit, right?
Yes, you have basically to win in a short, the stock price has to go down.
Right. So a bunch of people on Reddit found this out, and apparently it's pretty easy to find out what companies are being shorted. GameStop was apparently one of the most heavily shorted stocks on the market, and they decided to all buy in and jack the price up. Now, why this causes us a headache for the companies that were short selling is that they need to return those shares to the person that they borrowed them from. And if they have to do it at a super high price, they have to pay for it. They were expecting the stock to go down, but because the Redditors drove it up, they're now losing money on this short selling scheme.
A lot of money.
Yeah, Adrian, you put in an article here where 2 short sellers admit defeat and bail out a huge loss as GameStop share surge hits 1,000%. So already two places.
Why would you give up this early? Like, it's going to pass. Why would you give up this early? Anyway, sorry.
Well, that's the thing, right? All these Redditors, like, it's kind of a big game of chicken right now between the big billionaire
it really is,
hedge fund companies and the people on Reddit.
I think it's because there's a date in which you have to pay back.
Yeah. It
so
is.
Like, if these Redditors, hypothetically, keep the stock price jacked up until that due date comes, like, you got to pay that bill. Yeah. So if you can't pay the bill, then you're fucked, basically.
There were already hedge funds that were claiming like a $70 billion loss. There were ones that had to be like external investment had to be pumped in to adjust for it.
I saw that one. Yeah,
like CNBC and Business News Network were just having a fucking heyday with this. Words like financial terrorism were tossed around.
Financial terrorism, oh my god!
Yeah, that's what they were using to say, because their argument was like, oh well, a bunch of Redditors or schlubs on the internet were coordinating this to do it. It's like they're attacking this system. It's like, well, it's up for debate.
Market manipulation.
Here's the thing, right? Is like it's these people that have been taking advantage of the system for years are now getting taken advantage of, and they realize, hey, it sucks to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they want to invest in something, the stock market, which is extremely risky. They want to invest in it. Like they're doing extremely risky things, shorting and all the rest of it. Like, it's extremely risky, but they want to be in control to a point where like it's not risky for them. Whereas now the risk has bit them in the ass, and they're like, oh, that's it, financial terrorism or whatever Adrian was saying.
Help me, government intervention and regulation. My free market capitalism is working against me.
Yeah, literally. The system that they were taking advantage of is now fighting back and being taken advantage of by other people for their gain and these billionaires' losses. And all of a sudden, they don't like the system anymore.
I couldn't browse my Reddit homepage last night. Like, I usually go to bed and like I'll just like kind of... It was just r/Wall Street Bets all the way. Yep. I couldn't find something non-related to this. And now people like AOC. So then what happened was yesterday, 2 major companies, Robinhood, Men in Tights, and...
what? Nice reference.
And specifically TD Ameritrade. The American version of our Tron Dominion, they did a halt on retail investor trading.
Yup.
So they allowed the high level hedge fund investors to continue, but they halted retail traders. So people like us wouldn't have been allowed to do it. And now that has just gone down a whole shitstorm as well, because now people like AOC and Elizabeth Warren are wondering, why the hell are they doing this? Like, they are now just playing into the millionaire and billionaire playbook and just helping them deal with this when they should
help
be
protect them.
Yeah, it's to protect them, to force the stock to go down because Robinhood apparently allegedly they were selling people's positions. They were selling people's stocks without like that person selling it. They were like, oh, we had to close your position due to volatility. According to some screenshots that I saw, the the legitimacy of those screenshots is in question. Like, I don't know. I didn't do any checks on it. I just saw the screenshot. But like, apparently that's what Robinhood was doing in some cases, was selling some people's stocks. And then I heard that some employees at Robinhood were pissed off. So to compensate them, they received $40 a DoorDash credit. Like, for fuck's sake,
buy yourself something
they
nice.
might as well have just given them the middle
Now,
finger.
there is one thing that's like apparently legitimate, and like I don't know anything about it. I just read about this right before the show. I saw a tweet that said that apparently the reason why Robinhood did this was because they ran out of collateral. Now, I'm not sure what that means, however brokerages work. I'm sure that's something that they had to do or whatever. I don't know. But
So-
it could have been a legitimate freeze on Robinhood's side. I don't know if that's true. I don't know anything about Ameritrade. Although I did hear that TD, and I only heard this from someone telling me this, I have not confirmed this, but I did hear that apparently TD eventually resumed trading. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, after how much damage was done, though, that's the part that kills me. Because now, like the inevitable class action lawsuit that comes against any sort of investment company that halted trading, in an imbalanced fashion. Like, I have to imagine there's already law firms all over the world that are looking for a piece of that class action lawsuit.
I mean,
Like, I can't imagine the repercussions for years to come. Over
I can't necessarily blame them. Like, I mean, like, this is the free market. Like, this is how it works. If you like GameStop and you want to buy it, and a bunch of people get together to buy it, then they all get to buy it. And if you're like a billionaire that wanted the company to basically die or like lose value for you to make money, I mean, that was a risk that you took. And the people that are buying in right now or recently are taking a risk themselves. It's literally a risk either way. It can't just favor the person that wants the company to lose. Like, that's ridiculous.
So looking at it today, I went to our Wall Street Bets, and pretty much there's a lot of like heavy motivational speeches ripping through that entire subreddit,
Yeah,
because they need people to buy and hold. They can't have people sell, because then like as soon as one person sells and they start like, it's just going to be a ripple effect, and then it just goes back to the way it was. So people are warning everyone who has it not to do anything with their stock, because apparently what some of the hedge fund investors are going to try to do I don't know what the actual term for it is, but they're going to try to rapid buy and sell over and over again in continuous, just a succession. So just a rapid buy and sell constantly is going to drive it down artificially, or make it look like it's being driven down. So then that may scare people who have it
To sell,
sell. And then people, and like our Wall Street Bets is saying, when you see that, don't do anything with it. Like it will eventually just come back up like again. Like, it's not going to. Don't be scared by it. It is fucking crazy, and I hope maybe there is some major reform to come out of this, because now you have people like AOC and Elizabeth Warren looking into.
I love that they're looking into this now.
Like the Biden administration
now that effectively the poor people got involved. It's like, wait a
Like,
second,
now,
there's
now
people
that the
making
billionaires
money.
are the ones getting fucked. Now it's a concern.
Now it's a concern. Like, oh, this needs to be looked at. Well, the rules were in place this whole fucking time.
Well, no,
I mean,
AOC and Elizabeth Warren are looking into it because the little guy are being hurt by this.
Yeah.
They're not trying to defend the billionaires.
Yes,
those two in particular definitely do not get along with billionaires and millionaires.
Yeah, to be fair, and to like as a full disclaimer, I don't know who those people are. To be totally honest.
Let's put it this way: if AOC was a Canadian politician, she would be an NDP for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, that makes sense to me then.
Like just the top of, like our Wall Street Bets top post is GME YOLO month end update.
Yeah, they always say YOLO. I love it. I love it.
It's just,
oh boy.
if he's still in, I'm still in. If he's like just reply saying, if he's still in, I'm still in. It's like you have to commend just the solidarity, but they have to hold strong, and because if one person folds, they're all going to fold.
They also had this, like, apparently there's similar situations, although not as much like headline news, for like AMC and stuff like that too. Not the channel, the movie theaters.
AMC, I think,
And BlackBerry.
Blackberry, that's right, Blackberry as well. Yeah,
Blockbuster memes are coming out saying like, "Hey, like, watch, like, hey, I'm over here. You guys help us over."
We would love it. Help us.
And then, Oh fuck! I forgot what I was gonna. There's another. Oh fuck it! I'll have to remember what I was gonna say.
If you're one of these executives at GameStop who owns shares, who just saw your wealth increase by a ludicrous amount, wouldn't you just sell right now?
Maybe.
Assuming you're allowed to do that, God knows.
I guess because here's the thing. I'm assuming that GameStop, like, I don't know if I'm assuming EB Canada falls into the same stock, or if it's a separate trading company. I don't, because they're the same parent company.
They're owned by GameStop.
Okay,
even in Canada.
So what I'm genuinely curious about is most major companies, especially retail companies, do have profit sharing plans with their employees. And a part of a profit sharing plan, if they do implement it, does grant employees gift stock. So employees may just be granted stock just for working there and meeting certain threshold requirements on a biannual or annual basis. Like for me, I have Canadian Tire stock granted to me. Like I think I have like a share and a half.
It's like you're a piece of the pie for working there.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's I met a threshold. The franchise owner sees that he has to distribute a certain amount. The corporation then matches it, and then that is put into account, which is mine. And then if and when I quit or my employment is terminated, certain things happen with that. So like I have, I think, a share and a half, maybe 2 shares of Canadian Tire stock that I never went out and bought, but I own. I'm curious if that has been implemented on any sort of individual basis for employees in GameStop or EB Games. If there's just a random employee out there that met that threshold that just has some stock sitting around that they don't know about, and how much that has been inflated. Because like some of the numbers we're talking about is it went from what,
I'm looking
$3?
I'm looking at investing.com, the Canadian version of the site, and 1 year change, this metric, 1 year change as of today, which is, I was going to say the time and whatever because this changes all the time. So it's January 29th, 2021 at 9:34 p.m. 1 year change, the metric is 4,587.65%.
Okay. So like if you just took $1 and then you upped it by that percentage, like you can imagine like the numbers are running crazy. Like
I put it this way, like people are millionaires. Like I'm fairly certain there's been one billionaire added for sure to the billionaires club, and I saw somebody down 10 million and they were just like, fuck it, I'm holding it, I don't care for the morality of it. And then I saw one guy up 164 mil or something like that.
Oh my god!
The numbers will be all over the place.
Yeah. Do you guys ever go to the subreddits aged like milk and aged like wine?
No.
they're two polar subreddits where somebody's really really old comment really aged like milk, and some or another one is where somebody's really old comment aged like wine, and one of them was aged like milk, where it was somebody was ripping on somebody on a Reddit post about hanging on to $3 million worth of GameStop stock like 4 years ago, and they're like, "You're a fucking idiot. Why would you even hang on to a blah 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 like a dying company?" And then somebody dug that up and replied to it. It's like, and now his stock is worth like $40 million.
Ooh,
and it's just like, oh, I can't. That's such a unfathomable amount of money. Like
you can't see it coming. There's absolutely no way that you would see this situation coming, and yet here we are.
I'd be really hard. Like if I was in this situation, I'd be really hard pressed because morally speaking, I would hold. But I would hold. But like seeing the value at 40 mil,
that's what I was saying.
It's hard not to sell.
It's hard not to sell, Matt.
Well, if you were granted it, I think it might be considered a little different. I don't know how that would all work and all that. But like morally speaking, to me, I would want to hold. Now, whether like I should for my own personal whatever financial situation, depending on what financial situation I'm in at the time, I don't know. But like morally speaking, I would hold.
But to quote my good friend Matt Lawrence, everyone has a price.
Well, actually, and to be fair, 40 million would probably be whatever. Like when I say morally speaking, I would hold. Like if I bought in right now, and right now I'm looking at it and it's at $325. If I bought in right now and I bought 2 stocks and it was going to go down to 0, I would morally hold. But I'm not talking about 40 million. I'm talking about a little over 600. So like that's what I mean by I can't like I don't know what the like that person's probably gonna if they have it that person's probably gonna sell. Like I mean I think I would probably too in that case.
Like it would take me a day just to pick my jaw off the ground if I had stock laying around, and it like I don't even know.
Like morally speaking, I'm with the people buying and holding, but if you gain that much, Jesus, like you got some balls if you're at 164 mil and you're like, I'm just gonna hold. Like like props to you and like Jesus, like you know, this is nuts.
I can't say like I would tell myself now, yeah, I would hold just to prove it to them, but I honestly don't think I would.
That's exactly where I'm at, where it's like I morally would love to hold. I don't know if I would have the balls to. That would be my like actual statement. There's
question now whether there's other hedge funds getting in on this and forcing it up as well. Also, I learned about what's known as whales, who are just millionaires and billionaires who just don't care and just want to see the world burn. And they're buying in like in the millions of dollars and driving the stock up as well because they hate short sellers and they don't care if they lose $10 million. They just want to see short sellers get hurt.
Yeah, it's the cost of doing business in their eyes.
Yeah,
this is like a war now. Like this is crazy.
Like Elon Musk has a vendetta against short sellers because Tesla was one of the most shorted stocks as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's might have bought a bunch of GameStop stock. You know,
allegedly, we don't actually know that.
He could lose $1 billion and not even care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Bezos as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that he would do that though?
Elon Musk?
Yeah. Do you think he would get into like effectively a petty squabble? Like he's pretty busy.
Oh, I think he'd take time for this. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
If you just look at his Twitter too, like he's kind of talking about it and stuff and getting in there. He said get shorty. He also tweeted out the subreddit as well and said GameStonk.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. He thinks
so. I wouldn't be surprised if he bought some. He does, yeah.
I saw this morning that apparently Robinhood opened back up, letting people like public traders get back at it, like the average consumer. But you were only allowed to buy 5 stocks.
I hope they get their fucking asses sued into just obscurity.
The collateral is in question though. Like when I read that collateral thing, is it like are they being forced? If they closed it because they wanted to help the billionaires and the short sellers, I'm not on that side.
That's the only reason they would do it.
Yeah.
Well, people were saying that they ran out of collateral. Now I don't know what that means. Like, do you need to have as much collateral as people buying, and then the valuation went way up? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm asking, and I don't know if any of us know that. But is it like, are they incapable of allowing you to buy because they're out of collateral? If that's even true.
I'm not too sure, but it's just
I don't know.
It's just as soon as because like the R Wall Street Bets people were raging on Ameritrade and Robinhood for stopping the retail traders, and for what I can seem to discern to be an injustice on the trading level, because just the fact that they halted trading for retail investors and not the professional investors. That's suspect to begin with. So like I hope there are major repercussions because like I absolutely love genius circumvention. I love it when somebody uses a system against a bigger body just to fucking prove a point, and then there's just like this app, like this fucking little icon on your phone that is like just like, well, you know what, maybe we won't let you prove a point, and we're just going to smother you down and suffocate you a little bit, and then we'll get everything back on track so everything can be the status quo. It's like, oh, that fucking pisses me off.
And ironically called Robinhood.
Yeah.
Of all names, you know. Oh. I did look up their response to the whole stopping the smaller traders. They said it was regulation that caused that to happen.
I hope they are dragged in front of Congress, and I hope the appropriate people rip him a new asshole for that.
All right, let's move on. Some other news. Also, I just find it's funny that this is like that GameStop is like part of the gaming industry, which doesn't make too many headlines outside of games too often, you know. So it's funny that this is like what got dragged into the broader public.
Yeah, like people at work, like old geezers I work with at the hospital, were talking about it today, and I had to like explain to them what GameStop is.
All right, let's move on to our next story here. Cyberpunk 2077. Now we all know the history with their launch and all their problems. They did release one of their major updates that was supposed to fix a bunch of problems. One of many, I guess, to come. But this one had a game-breaking bug. This comes from GameSpot. It says patch 1.1 for Cyberpunk addresses numerous performance and gameplay issues. As CD Projekt Red laid the foundation for a series of updates scheduled for the coming weeks. The patch inadvertently also broke the game in a new way, preventing progress during a quest that left some players without a way to continue playing.
Fuck yeah.
Although a workaround was posted shortly after the bug was discovered, patch 1.11 fixes the issue outright while also adjusting some aspect of loot drops. Thank you, sir. It's just it just feels kind of bad that they're having this constant, run of bad luck here.
I mean, that's the thing, right? When you have an like a really like a whole lot of aspiration for a project, and it's very, I can't think of the word, like it's really trying to do a lot of things. Ambitious, thank you, Christ. That's my biggest problem, is I always get a word in my head and then I get something that sounds like it but isn't quite right, and then I can't not think of that word. Yeah, it's a very ambiguous game. They try to make it super ambiguous, and the more it's like with anything, right? The more moving parts you have, the more potential there is for something to go wrong. Now, there's no excuse for them releasing the broken product that was Cyberpunk 2077 on launch. Like, that was not okay, and there's so many factors as to why that happened. All they can do is try to pick up the pieces and move on. But, these are going to be teething issues for months to come still.
Now, this first update wasn't meant to fix everything, because obviously they had already said that we're going to have another updates coming in February, followed by some other like smaller updates and stuff. I think at this point, I might just wait till the next gen version officially releases.
This game still isn't on sale on the PlayStation Store, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I wonder if after the second update, whether that will be enough or not. But it must be, the problem is that Sony wants it to work on the PS4 because they have 115 million PS4s out there.
I don't blame them for pulling it or saying, slapping their hand and saying this doesn't work. But I also blame them and Microsoft for letting it get through approval to begin with, because they can't, something had to go by their desk in order to get it there.
According to CD Projekt Red, they were hoping, I think, more than expecting, to have it all fixed for the day zero patch, right? And they probably told Sony this. They probably told Sony it'll get better, once that happens. But that didn't happen.
It's funny now. There's probably game developers probably releasing just after Cyberpunk or in the next year that were hoping to utilize that system of promising a day zero or a day one patch, and then now they have to make sure they meet probably additional requirements that Sony and Microsoft are going to implement in updated policies.
Well, they also just don't want the PR disaster either, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a recent game that probably came out that got away with it, that was so bad that was noticeable, but not bad enough that that would have caused this. And I'm wondering if that game were to come out now, if it would get away with it. And I'm thinking about Fallout 76, because half the things I hear you guys complaining about on that game, or most things I hear you guys talking about that game, is just glitches and performance issues. And you've had that game crash and progress loss.
They might be protected though by always having buggy games. It's expected of them.
Yeah,
right?
Bethesda's a special case where people just always forgive them for their garbage bugs and stuff.
But people love The Witcher. People were adoring CD Projekt Red. And then for this to happen on probably the most anticipated game in the last 10 years, I think that's what really hurt them.
I think the apology hurt them too, because to me, if they're releasing patches that fixes it, clearly they could have had these things done at release. If it was impossible to fix, they released something and they were unable to fix it ever, then that's a different story where it's damn, they got screwed over by the tech or they were over ambitious. But they're fixing it, So if they're able to get it to a good point on PS4 generation hardware, then there's no excuse.
I find that that Paul-G video hilarious. It was not. It was kind of like he immediately starts talking up the PC version about how the PC version is completely fine.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the PC version runs great. Yeah, we may have goofed on this one.
I think he mentioned their good reviews of the PC version as well.
Oh my god!
I should try to run that on PC. Actually, I have it on Stadia. I should run that on Stadia and see how that is.
It's probably good. I think the bigger problem was like just performance with the because you're probably gonna have the same bugs even on next gen consoles and PC, but just the performance was like horrendous. I guess I haven't seen it. So
what's fascinating is sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna move on, but if you want to say something,
what I was gonna say, what's fascinating is the people that I've heard that played this game are either one or the other. They're either like in one of two camps. They're either like, oh, I stopped playing it because it's buggy, or like I hate it, or whatever. Like they're in like the negative camp, or they're in the super positive, like not even a little bit positive. They're like, yeah, I was glued to the screen. I love the story. I want to replay it. I know there's a bunch of endings. I want to go back and do it. And I've seen that on Twitter and amongst just people telling me as well. It's super fascinating to see that. And like a couple of the people that were so positive about it that I know were actually on console too. So
on next gen consoles or last gen?
Next gen to be totally clear, next gen consoles, but still. And Aaron beat it, but he again on a PS5, but the PS4 version, but
he didn't really sound too enthusiastic about it.
No, you guys were all fired up that one night. I remember it came out, and I was just playing Death Stranding at the time, and you guys were playing it, and like I never heard anything about it after that day, short of the news. And I was like immediately, I just fell off of it and didn't care.
Yeah. Speaking of CD Projekt Red, though, the new Teslas will apparently be able to run The Witcher 3 on their 10 teraflop gaming rigs. This comes from IGN. So Tesla has unveiled refreshed versions of its Model X and Model S cars, revealing that both are equipped with gaming hardware supporting up to 10 teraflops of processing power. This theoretically puts a car within the ballpark of the new generation consoles. I think the PS5 is like 10.2 teraflops, and the Xbox Series X is 12 teraflops. So for a car to be running that is pretty funny. The Tesla model is priced in excess of $80,000 American, and shipping in March are fitted with hardware to power Tesla Arcade, which is currently available. It's also in my parents' Tesla. They you can play like less demanding games like Cuphead and stuff like that.
Great. Video game is going to be me, my Tesla in my garage playing instead of, I want to go play video games. I guess I'll have to go down to my Tesla and just sit in there.
Right. So you can hook up a Xbox controller to your Tesla and play those games currently. So you'll definitely be able to do that with The Witcher 3 on these new versions of the Model X and S.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think of the scenario, though, that you would be doing this, where you would play a game like The Witcher 3 in your car.
Unless the only thing I could see this being better, if you wanted really to do some consolidation, and there's some sort of like Tesla streaming app where you can broadcast that to your TV. And you can then just consolidate your PC, your console, and your car all into one.
Oh my god!
And you can get rid of everything else. That would be great. And then I'd be like, I don't even need a console anymore. I have my car. I'm good.
The only thing I can think of is he's really planning for the future when it's completely driverless, fully autonomous. Right? You'll have time to spare to play games while your car is driving itself. Or I guess when you're charging your car.
Yeah.
If you're on a
charging your
long-distance
car makes
trip.
sense.
Yeah.
I would be worried about people getting immersed into a game while they're driving.
I don't.
You can't play the games while driving.
No, I know, but I mean, like, I wonder if they've even. Well, I guess they would have thought of it. It's a pretty easy thought, but I'm just mean, even when they get full autonomous driving and it's not just autopilot or whatever they call it, the hybrid version of auto driving, whatever the Tesla calls that.
It's autopilot.
Autopilot, sure, yeah. So, like, when they go above autopilot, I'd still be a little worried. Because if you imagine being like immersed in something, trying to do something hard, like in a game, like a raid or something, God knows what, and then your car like beeps at you to take the wheel, you might not even notice it.
No. You like right now.
Right now you can't. I'm just saying in the future, if that's what they're thinking.
Listen. I don't think government regulations will allow any game to run like that or any sort of distraction to operate if you have to take control of that car in any capacity, even if there's a 0.01% like human interface that needs to be done. I don't think you'll be able to do any of that while it's operating. Like not until it is a 100% autonomous vehicle. I wouldn't worry about that part of it.
Yeah, fair enough. I suppose.
Like government, the car industry and that kind of stuff is super regulated. They won't. I don't think they'll let that happen.
It's hard to tell if Elon Musk is just
crazy,
overly optimistic, because he's pretty bullish on the on actually realizing full autonomous driving. Like he makes it sound like it is going to happen and it is going to be practically flawless. They've talked about like cars without like steering wheels and stuff. Like that's how advanced he thinks it can achieve.
It'll happen. If you got to remember that we as humans, short of a weird situation or a weird intersection, once you learn to drive, driving becomes like a muscle memory. Mm-hmm. And you don't really think about driving. You're listening to a podcast or listening to music or what have you. As you learn to drive, like you just drive after a while.
You zone out. But you just fucking zone out.
But I guess the trouble is with computers versus humans is humans can learn something and then use that to build off of when a different scenario that's similar but different occurs. A computer literally has to be told exactly what's going to happen and how to react.
Yes and no with machine learning, though. With machine learning, yes and no.
No, but machine learning, it still has to experience it the one time. I'm saying humans can learn something like once and be doing it in a different scenario, but be able to adapt on the fly. Computers don't necessarily do that very well.
I suppose I'm thinking more so, and I guess somebody would still be the first, but I'm thinking more so if there was some sort of Tesla network where if you got in a weird situation, then it would send it to all the cars in some way or to the Tesla network to say, like, this is a weird situation we need to deal with.
And they do that to an extent right now. Like when you put your car into autopilot, I do believe it uploads that data that it collects back to Tesla, which helps them make the software better. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that could happen on a like complete just automatic, I guess, where the whole system is learning from every scenario around the world, who knows?
Well, there's also a change though. So right now our roads are built for manual following of the rules, meaning, in Canada, you have the double yellow line, you got the dotted yellow line, you got the dotted combined with the solid. There's white yellow lines, or there's white dotted lines, white solid lines. There's like all these, but realistically,
are you able to tell me the difference between all those?
Sure, but like, Jesus, I'm not in driver's ed, but the point of the matter is though is like you could take your car and just start swerving all over the place illegally and very dangerously, but our infrastructure is built so that we humans have to interpret the road and the lines and all that stuff, stoplights, whatever else, and we have to do it. But it's possible that in the future, the roads will be built for autonomous cars and the other cars will be autonomous as well. So then we will reach a point in which there is no quote unquote situation in which the car gets confused because it's following the autonomous vehicle line and it will just keep doing that. And unless the road's all screwed up, because right now we're programming the car to be like a human.
Yeah.
To follow the rules of the road and to stay in the lines and stuff. But we have robots, and you can make it really easily with very cheap like electronics, to just follow, like, you take like a white Bristol board and make like a dark line in the middle, and you can even like squiggle it or whatever and have that robot follow that line. That's really simple. Like in the grand scheme, that might be what our roads become. They might get rid of stoplights if everything's autonomous because it might just be in the cloud where it's like, everyone stop now.
It would absolutely change civilization forever. Like the automated wagon changed the way that we drive to cities now or drive through cities now. It will change again. Like it's a big jump. It will change civilization forever.
You know what's funny about there's a phenomenon that happens with technology where even if a human makes the mistake more often than the computer does, people still won't trust the computer more. And it's like it has to do it like way better than humans can.
Yeah.
So, given the statistics right now, Tesla claims that even if your car just an autopilot is safer than a human driver. But because there's still a percentage of people who die driving on autopilot, people don't trust it.
I mean, aren't all the Tesla trucks on autopilot? I don't think there's been a Tesla truck that's like the
trucks aren't really in production yet. They're still in like the production of building the actual trucks. They haven't been sold to
the shipping
yet.
trucks.
Yeah,
like the ones with trailers.
They haven't been given out to the companies yet. They're still being made.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
On the roads already.
They're testing them, but I don't think they're actually like making deliveries for Walmart or something.
Interesting. I just assumed too. I didn't look it up. I just thought, like Tim, I thought they were on the road already. I knew the Cybertruck was coming. I just thought that the big ones were already running around. I know there's obviously a driver's seat in those though, but robots are the future, man. Like that's just it. Like robots are the future. That's just it. In the future, there will be robots. Vice City predicted it correctly.
God damn it. In the future, there will be robots.
Yeah, just
thanks.
According to a quick Google, the production is planned to start in 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've just been developing them this whole time.
I mean, that makes sense. Like that, they're hauling massive loads. You don't want to have a fucking gas tanker not know where it's going and just freaking like haul ass off of a freaking escarpment or some freaking thing right into a town. Like, God.
You know what's funny though is like those reports coming out about fatal accidents involving automated cars. Like people don't even look to see what the cause of what the specifics are, because even like the cases that involve human error, like they just don't. They kind of just blindside that and say, "Oh, look, there was an incident with an automated car and a human. We don't trust it."
But you know what the problem is?
But it was like no, like it was a human error. If you read it, like it was the human's fault. They fucked up. It's like no, we're still not going to trust it.
And you know what the problem is with a lot of those cases is oftentimes they are ruled not to be the Tesla's fault. But the problem is with the drivers is that they get too comfortable with autopilot. They trust it too much.
Yeah.
Right. They start taking liberties. Even though you're supposed to still have your hands on the wheel, ready to take control in case something bad happens. Right. They're off doing something else, digging through the console, watching movies on an iPad or something.
Admittedly,
they're too trusting of the system.
That's why I was saying before years ago, like I was just talking with you guys though, when autopilot was like about to come out, and I was saying that right now we have our hands on the wheel because we have to control the car. But could you imagine being like at your computer desk, hands ready on the home row, and your computer is just running all the shit? Like you're gonna get bored and move your hands away and pick up your phone.
Yes, but the difference is, though, you're not in a mechanized tank.
No, you're right. Like those people should have their hands on the wheel. But what I'm saying is I just personally, and it's just my personal opinion, that I thought that autopilot wasn't a great idea for long trips specifically, because sure, if I'm just driving into town or driving into the city or whatever real quick, like a normal trip, it's a little different. But if I was taking a road trip, imagine a 10-hour road trip where you're just holding your hands on the wheel.
Yes,
that's really bizarre. That's very bizarre.
And really, like I don't know what kind of, because I'm sure you could tell us, Ryan, about like the checks and balances for people behind the wheel. But there was like I saw on Reddit the other day, somebody was recording from another vehicle. Was like there were two people asleep in the Tesla. Like they were literally just slumped over taking a nap while their car was driving. And like I don't know if there's a facial recognition camera that like watches facial, like if they don't pick up a set of human eyes, does it pull over eventually, or do you have to hit like a "I'm still awake" button every once in a while to say?
So the way it works is it measures the resistance of your hands on the wheel. So as the car is making micro adjustments, right, it will measure your hands actually holding that wheel, and if it doesn't feel any resistance, it will kind of like chime at you and remind you to put your hands on the wheel. I think after a certain while, it does start to have more warning systems that are put in place. Things trying to wake you up if you have fallen asleep.
Okay.
I remember, and this is probably something that's been resolved because it was like maybe a year or so ago now, maybe 2 years. But I remember seeing a post on Twitter where a guy was like, I found a way around this, and it was just him. He shoved an orange in the wheel, like between the center, like the part where the airbag and the horn would be. Wedged that between the top of that and the bottom of the round part, like where you would hold in the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. And that apparently was like enough like
The weight, I guess.
not necessarily the weight, I don't think, but I think it was the way that it thought that like, oh, their fingers are squeezing the inside of the wheel kind of thing as they're holding it. Like that sort of pressure was enough to trick the vehicle into thinking it was the wheel was being held.
I wonder if it had a little bit of just like an electricity. Maybe there's like a little bit of a spark running through that peel that was probably triggering it on the steering wheel to make it think like, oh, there must be a human finger on this.
That's what I was thinking too. Is that it's a capacitive thing?
It doesn't do that though. It's literally just the resistance.
Like I would oh my god, I would say I would want a camera on that steering wheel, and if it doesn't pick up eye movement every 3 to 4 minutes, pull over. You're done. If there's every 15 minutes, there has to be an I am awake button on the console.
See,
if
like,
you don't
this
press
is
that,
you see what's happening here,
done.
though? Like, autopilot, whereas it's revolutionary and stuff like that, and maybe it's safer. Again, it's just, to me, it's very bad user experience.
No, but the thing is, though, that the people who do use it regularly, they say it's more of a mental relief than it is like a physical relief. Because when you're driving, you're constantly paying attention to all the cars on the road, and you're doing the micro adjustments yourself as you're driving and whatnot. Just having to kind of just sit there with your hands on the wheel is enough of a relief that it makes your long journeys on the road less demanding.
Now, here's the question, though: is being relieved actually bad? Because what if the Tesla? And I've only seen this a couple years ago or a year ago, but I remember like when it gives you back control, if it doesn't understand something, it gives you back control. It like goes like boop boop or whatever, like beeps at you, and then it gives you back control. Well, if you're not really paying attention, you have your hand on the wheel, but you're just looking around. I mean, isn't the problem relatively the same? Like, yeah, there's the reaction time of you reaching for the wheel at that beep is now cut out, but you still don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, like Ryan, what does the car do when it gives you back control? Like, does it immediately cut the gas or cut the throttle and start slowing down?
Yeah, you'll start slowing down a bit.
Okay,
yeah.
so like
you
it doesn't
put your foot back on the pedal and
that's
stuff.
different.
It's just like taking off cruise control. Really, that's it.
I don't have that experience, Ryan. My car's too old.
Oh, sorry.
My car doesn't have ABS, so.
Oh my god, your car doesn't even have ABS?
No, because it wasn't standard feature back then.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I like ABS anyway.
Yeah, I've been in a couple cars with ABS, and like I'm trying to compensate, and it's trying to compensate, and I start panicking. But I mean, I'm a different case where I'm driving a car without it. So
the first time I heard it go off, it scared the shit out of me. It when I because my 2003 Corolla didn't have it, but my 2010 does. So like, and when I jumped from one car to another, and the first time ABS kicked in, I didn't know what it was.
All right, let's move on to our next story here. Kevin Hart officially joins the Borderlands movie with Cate Blanchett. I think Cate Blanchett hasn't been officially announced, if I understand that correctly. I think that might just be a rumor. But anyway, Kevin Hart, I think, is officially in the cast. He is, this game comes from GameSpot. Hart is lined up to portray Roland, who is the former soldier who appears in Borderlands 1 and 2. I like this. According to Variety, GameSpot is saying that the character Roland appears in Borderlands 1 and 2. Cate Blanchett will be playing Lilith.
Rumored.
Yeah. Craig Mazin is writing. If you don't know who he is working on the Last of Us TV show. He wrote the Chernobyl series. So he's actually writing this Borderlands script. And then Eli Roth is directing. Now I knew the name, but I never kind of put the face to it. He's frickin' Donnie Donowitz in Inglourious Bastards, also known as the Bear Jew.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about this casting? I think we all played Borderlands, right?
Yeah, I still stand by my my remark was, I guess that's okay because like they're fairly bland characters anyways. Like they're not like I guess you could have put anyone in that cast and be like, okay, I guess yeah, we'll see.
I think the casting is fine myself. I don't know if I'm sold on video game movies quite yet as a concept myself.
I mean, the more that we go through time, basically, and as video games as a storytelling medium evolve, we're starting to realize that it's an excellent medium for telling stories. Like you look at anything Naughty Dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really, really good at it. It can be done. It's just you need the directors to want to share that same soul. Because for me, anytime I've watched like a video game based movie, it's always felt like a cheap cash grab, you know? Like it seems like they don't care about telling a proper, like compelling story. They just want to throw the name on it, whatever project.
But like for me, to me, like video game stories don't translate well to movies for just for the sake of like pacing and time. Like how do you take an 8 to 20 hour story like Last of Us and condense it down into a 2-hour movie? It's like I don't think you're doing those characters or that story justice by rushing through it. And like instead, if they gave it, okay, well, we're going to expand this out to a trilogy and really kind of do your basic act 1, 2, 3 through 3 stories, maybe that's a little bit more reasonable. But it's just, they're going to adapt like Tomb Raider into a movie, and I haven't seen it, but it's like you might as well not even call it Tomb Raider. You might as well just call it female action hero movie. Insert name here, like.
Because you tell a different story. Weird. You don't try to tell the story the game told. It's already been told. You tell a different story. The same. But
they're going to tell that Borderlands. They're going to tell the story of 4 vault hunters who go through mission after mission, trying to open up a vault and battling a big monster. Like that is the movie already. And to me, like it's not something that needs to be told in a movie. If you want no Borderlands, just play Borderlands. Don't.
I think the problem is that these studios are looking for this like runaway hit. They're hoping that they find, that they make the 2008 Iron Man film, right? Where they're the ones who are going to have the breakout video game movie that spawns a franchise. But the problem is they don't put the right talent or money behind it. They like give it a little bit and say, "Yeah, go make it. We hope it's a big success." But they're not really kind of betting.
They're playing it safe and hoping to get insane returns, and that's not how it works.
Yeah. In their defense, they are a business. Like they are like in the end, they're trying to maximize profit and saying, well, even if we can turn out a little bit of profit and not as much as we wanted to, it's still a worthwhile, and that may spawn a sequel, which then will get more.
The weird thing is, though, is like
behind it, then you'll get more. Like there's more potential for gains.
And merch, actually, for that matter, too. If you could make a really good movie, game, whatever it is, you could sell merch individually, even if it's all the same license. Like, you make something with a lot of stuff behind it, and you get sequels and other spin-offs and merch and God knows what. Mobile games.
All right.
Well, I didn't think my comment was that, like, clearing the room-esque. That was a little crazy.
No, I just had nothing else to say about the movie. Yeah. That's all. It's just good luck to them. Hope it works out.
I have no. I'll wait to see whatever inevitable trailer, teaser, whatever comes out. But like every other video game movie, I don't think it needs to be done.
I wonder which way they're going to go with it. If they're going to try to lean into the comedy side, because Kevin Hart has been doing more like comedy, obviously. Or if they would kind of make it weird and make it serious. Because the thing about Roland is that he's not exactly like a comedic character. He's probably the straight man out of the group, you know?
Yeah, he's very dry in his delivery.
So it's going to be weird to see Kevin Hart play a character like that.
I think they're going to try to redo the tone of what the fuck?
The group? Characters?
What's his Jumanji. I think they're going to just try to remake that with him as the Borderlands crew, or him maybe. Or whatever.
Time will tell. We'll have to wait till some more trailers and expand upon it with our opinions.
And 3 directors later, and
10 years later,
2 production delays and rebudgets and all that fun stuff.
Man, just looking back at the original Tomb Raider movie, Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
The Angelina Jolie one?
Yeah, its budget was $115 million, and it made $274. That was enough, apparently, for a sequel.
That I think any amount over it was like, as long as they make any money off it, they'll make a sequel.
But I guess typically, though, they say like you want to make 3 times your production budget to be considered a success. not necessarily warranting a sequel. Now the sequel cost $95 million, and the box office was $160 million. So it actually went down, but that was a much worse movie.
And dwindling returns on sequels are always a thing.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway,
what about what was the other Tomb Raider movie, the latest one?
You want to see the numbers on that one?
Yeah, because they did announce a
sequel to that.
Yeah, a continue whatever it is.
Kind of a similar story here. So the budget was 90 to 106 million, and box office was 274 million.
Okay, so not nothing.
The weird thing about that movie is like it looks like the game, like the reboot game, but it's a completely different story. It's like they just kind of took the whole visual and island vibe, but didn't actually, even the origin vibe, I guess, the origin story.
You know, relating back to that video, that previous video, they probably used the game as a visual reference point, and they said, "Fuck it, we'll just do our own thing."
Yeah. Also, speaking of Tomb Raider, this is just an aside. Apparently, they're going to look at merging the reboot trilogy with the old games in some way.
The reboot trilogy with the reboot games.
Yeah, because the three reboot games are basically Lara Croft's origin story.
Yeah,
she's not like a full-fledged explorer like she is in the original games, the very original games, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess they're kind of gonna try to bridge the two.
Why? Or who cares? Just leave it.
It is kind of funny because it's not like there's a really like deep story that everyone kind of cares about. You know, it's not like Star Wars or Star Trek or something where the canon is very precious to the fans.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. I mean, I am a Tomb Raider fan, but it's
just to me, the Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, James Bond always kind of fell in the same boat. It's just like they're just stories to tell, and you just kind of have fun with the loose connections. Just don't try to link them together.
All right, our final story for the week: Warner Bros. Hints that upcoming games will have a focus on live service. This comes from GameSpot. So a line tucked away in a job listing from Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment has suggested that Warner is looking to follow this model for upcoming games featuring many of its most popular franchises. The job listing was first picked up by Maro NL on Twitter, with the information coming from a job listing for a games production MBA intern with WBIE. WBIE is currently involved in a variety of new projects ranging from casual games to core games featuring our well-known franchises on all platforms, console, digital, and mobile. The heavy focus on live service, this is what the listing read. This role is heavily focused on consumer research, suggesting WBIE will be looking at other examples of live service success as inspiration. How do you guys all feel about these live games taking over and kind of becoming every game?
I think it's a wave that is going to be around to stay, but it's around to stay for a while, but it will eventually kind of subside and balance out and find its place.
I'm on Adriano's side, but I don't think it's going to balance out. I think they'll find another way to monetize. I think the biggest way to monetize is we had microtransactions which like faded but are still there. Loot boxes faded but still there. Now we got battle passes, not fading, growing seemingly, and then there'll be something else.
Yeah, if you look at the last 20 years, you can always like take the 3 to 4 year stretch and say, oh, this is the years of DLC packs when like that was a new thing, and then they kind of went overboard, and now they've kind of leveled out, and now it's the online passes for multiplayer, those went away, that leveled out kind of. Then it's like here's your loot boxes, microtransactions. Now we're into battle passes. Now we're into like live games.
The online passes admittedly were a dumb idea because physical media was already like coming up to question with digital and physical, and like the online passes were effectively to prevent you from playing online if you bought a used copy of the game.
It's funny because the games, the way the direction it was going as games as a service, or even like just any sort of like battle pass like that, they're the anticipated upcoming things like battle passes and games as a service contradicted the online pass system. Like you couldn't have two of those things exist together in the industry.
No, that was just dumb.
And yeah, like you would have like, oh well, here's a live game and games as a service, but in order to actually do this and participate, we also want you to buy this code just to let you to play online on top of your yearly subscription to PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass or Games for Gold. So I think like one of those had to survive. Like they couldn't exist together.
Yeah.
But I think with like this games as a service, we'll eventually it'll kind of level out and find its place in the industry. And
well, we've talked about this a few times, and it might play into your point, Adriano, is every game is striving for your time. Every game has your dailies, and not every game, obviously, but in general, it's like every game wants you there every single day, or at least several days a week, completing daily and weekly quests. And there's always time limits on stuff. It's not like there's always dailies and you can just do them 5 years from now. It's like, no, now you've missed, 5 years of content. Maybe there's some ways to get it back. Maybe there isn't. No, that's always the question. But the thing is like, at what point, and like maybe this will be the thing that evens it out, is at what point do games hit critical mass where there's not enough players to allow for anything but like the big games. So like obviously you have your big games like your CODs and your esports titles, Fortnite, whatever. All those are going to be doing fine. But then you have these smaller games like smaller games in terms of the live service like Control and other games like that where game studios are, spending a lot of time making them. They were doing ray tracing and all this cool stuff and whatever. And those companies are getting rewarded less. So that might force more live games onto the market. So let's say the majority of games become live. Now is the time split too much? Now is the time completely ruined where it's like we're playing Fallout 76, which I've mentioned over and over and over again every week pretty well. But as a result, like I'm not playing ESO, I'm not playing World of Warcraft, I'm not playing whatever, like not that I would choose those, but put in any other live game that I would, I'm not participating in those live games. And so, like, is there a point in which there's too many live games, and as a result, there's not enough players to fill the shoes?
I think so. Like, I think there will be like a kind of bubble to be burst situation, because like even existing games are adapting to go into the live service. And like for instance, we talked about, and I do hope that we go for Sea of Thieves on Wednesday, but Sea of Thieves they pretty much just redid this live as the games as a service part, and they just introduced their plunder pass.
Yeah, plunder pass. Yeah. God damn
like,
it.
Like Tim, I don't know if you've gone into Sea of Thieves since they've done that, but the Sea of Thieves that we're going to go into is going to be quite a different one from where you guys remember years ago.
I mean, I've only just played it recently, right?
But this got kicked in 2 days ago. So like, when was the last time you actually launched it?
Yeah, it was like Wednesday, I think.
Okay,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
So you may not even hit it. Yeah, you may not even hit it. But there was pretty much Sea of Thieves 2.0 came out where they overhauled the experience system and like the quest system for the plunder pass. Yep. And now that is that game. That is that game. That is everything else.
I hate that. Like I'm not participating. Like that's what I mean is I'm not participating in that. If I'm there, fine. I'll do a challenge here or two, but I'm not participating in another timed event.
I'm not going to play keep up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no chance. Like literally zero chance.
For me, I have too many to go. But this was a Warner Brothers game post. Was this Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner Brothers hinted at.
Yes.
Yeah.
What IP did they have that you guys think they would apply this to?
You know what? If I'm being honest, Batman.
That's what I was saying.
Gotham Knights one, I think.
Okay, but don't you think that would have already been talked about or like leaked or like don't you think we would have known it as that was a games as a service game already?
Yes, I think you're right, but also they announced those well ahead of their actual launch dates. Even Suicide Squad is not launching for a long time. Right.
Okay. What about if they did something in the Lord of the Rings universe?
That would make sense.
They do have Lord of the Rings online, but it's been a long time since we've seen sort of a brand new game.
But like they have the license for holy shit, I'm terrible with names and titles. Shadow of Mordor. Like, can you imagine if they did a third Shadow of Mordor and they did a
Shadow of Mordor? Oh, right.
War of Mordor or
Middle Earth Shadow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know, Gollum.
Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
That's the one. Like if
Shadow
they did
of the Tomb Raider.
That's the one. Yep. If they did like a third game as a lot games as a service system,
I could definitely see that where you make up your own
four party co-op cosmetic.
Because they did try.
I'd play that.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
They tried Shadow of War. I don't know if you guys remember that, and they had like loot boxes and stuff where you could open up and purchase at one point different orcs and stuff, or uruks or whatever the hell they're called.
Urukai, yep.
And then they backed off on that and like removed some of that and tweaked some of it and stuff.
They completely removed it from the system. Like they did a massive update to completely rip that system out because either probably WB realized like, oh, now they probably hit that magic number on an Excel sheet where they realize it's not worth it anymore to implement it. Just for
literally made the game useless. The game was supposed to be run around and find cool orcs and recruit them. The game became try to buy these orcs and recruit them. Like,
all right, that's all we got for this week. Thanks for joining, Tim.
Yeah,
how you doing?
I'm here.
You can find Tim weekly or weekdays at twitch.tv/yathatfigures. You can find us. We're going to hopefully maybe start Sea of Thieves on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll put it in the calendar.
twitch.tv/DamonPatchMedia. And we'll see you guys next time.
Probably.
I have been playing Hearthstone this entire recording.
Peace!
What else is new?